Hey everyone, welcome to Sunday Coffee. My name is Megrette, and thank you so much for joining me. We are talking about the difference between healing versus fixing, and it's a great topic. We're going to be looking at this in the lens of your diet and pretty much how maybe you are interacting with food and eating, because a lot of times diet culture makes us feel like, um, yeah, that we're broken. And the truth is that you're not broken, you're hurt, and that is really it. When people are hurt, we need to heal. We do not need to be fixed. Objects are fixed. People are healed. And so right now, really want to just kind of focus in and let that land. And thanks for joining me. I really appreciate everyone being with me. I hope you got your coffee. Mm, it's a busy time. So let's kind of step out what will happen at this, Sunday coffee casual chat. I just woke up about 15-20 minutes ago and yeah, just drinking my coffee, waking up with y'all. So let's break it down into four things. So today we're really talking about what are the signs that your needs are being met? What are basic human needs? What are the signs that your needs aren't being met? And how does diet culture play into all of this? So, we're going to start with this whole idea that, we are human and we need, we need things and that's very different than like thinking of ourselves as like a machine or automaton. When we think about a machine or automaton, they like do things on their own. They don't have needs. They're completely autonomous. They can do everything by themselves. And I think a lot of times when we think about food and eating and diet culture, that image is really present. I see it in when we talk about our nutrition needs that, it's calories in, calories out. People talk about, I only need to meet my calorie needs. I don't need to meet anything else. I don't have any special requirements. So, like, if you are a nursing mom, your needs are the same as a man. If you're a child, your needs are the same as an adult. And we see this referenced, but yet we know it's not true. We know that your needs are individualized. And that piece, I think, really gets lost in this whole process. So when we start off recognizing that we are human and we have needs, what lands for you? And how, again, thinking about that, like I do have needs and my needs are individualized. They're they're my needs. They're not Bob's needs. And for those of you who haven't seen me or met with me individually, Bob is my fictitious person that I pick on. So just so you know, Bob is not real. It's all people that I like to pick on. So this process about healing is really recognizing that we are human. Humans have needs. They're not machines. And that a lot of rhetoric around diet culture really does set it up that individual needs are um, not necessary. And that's just, again, another false view. And when I use the word false view, it's just these are norms that we've been so indoctrinated with them that we don't actually see them as inaccurate. And so I don't wanna say that we're wrong for thinking that because that's really unkind. It's just it's a view, it's a belief that's been put out, and it's been absorbed. Society has put out this false view, and we've absorbed it. So how do we know if our needs are being met? Well, most of the time when your needs are being met, you're going to start having feelings and kind of experiences that are more affectionate. Like friendly and loving and open-hearted. You might be excited. You might notice amazement. You're astonished. You're giddy. You're enthusiastic. You're grateful. Maybe you're peaceful or centered or calm. You're hopeful. You're inspired. You're refreshed. Maybe you're exhilarated, blissful, ecstatic, engaged, absorbed, engrossed, entranced, optimistic. When we think about our needs being met, we are happier. And when you think about food and eating, when you eat something, are you having these experiences and not fleeting, sustained? Are your experiences around food and eating, are they these kinds of emotions? Is food and eating meeting your needs? Are you feeling renewed and refreshed, dazzled, eager, thankful, touched, relaxed, serene, tranquil? Are you feeling enchanted, radiant? So I think a lot of times we kind of come into food and eating and we imagine these feelings might be present. And then all of a sudden we finish the meal and we're actually not experiencing those. So that's maybe something to think about. It's an opportunity for us to say, like, what would it take for me to finish a meal and feel thankful? What would it take? What would need to change for me to finish a meal and feel safe or secure or pleased or, um, you know, curious? What would it take for me to complete um, an eating experience, whether it's a snack or a meal? What would it take for me to have those kinds of, um, emotions arise? If they are arising, then there's a pretty good sign that your needs are being met. There's a pretty good sign that you're doing great. If they're happening kind of sometimes, but not all the time, that's a pretty good sign you're on the right path. Like, amen, good for you. If you're feeling like, that's not really happening very much, then that's a sign that we want to heal, that we deserve these experiences when we're talking about food and eating in our body. So, what are human needs? I mean, I've mentioned those, that when your needs are being met, these lovely feelings arise. But what are our human needs? These are universal. They're not specific to anyone, but they're just generally accepted as being, um, yeah, basic stuff that we need. So the first one is this interdependence, that we are all connected, and that connection is part of our needs. And feelings that arise when we feel connected, feeling seen or heard, belonging, affection, cooperation, contribution, emotional freedom, emotional safety, empathy, trust, love, clarity, comprehension, contribution, celebration, growth, bonding, building, movement, affection, play, fun, humor, communion, beauty, peace, harmony, spiritual connection, spiritual community. That again, we are in this place of beauty and harmony and all those lovely things. So our human needs are actually really important. And I think a lot of times when we think about food and eating, we don't recognize there's so much of food and eating that is involved in this interdependence. We use food to celebrate. We use food to connect. We use food to comfort. Food is so much more than calories. It's so much bigger than that. And when we start seeing food as part of our human needs, that we need to eat and humans need to eat, and humans have lots of meaning associated with food and eating. So our human needs are basic. And one of our human needs that I think really gets overlooked is that sometimes people forget ease is a basic human need. And ease is not the same thing as easy. And ease is not the same thing as lazy. Ease means that you're not fighting against yourself. You're kind of like, I have a sense of ease. Other people might describe it as trust or um, authenticity. But ease is I don't have the mask, it's off. And start to think to yourself about diet culture and how that mask of pretending is off and on. And it's very hard to feel connected with people when you're got this mask on. So when we start embracing who we are, when we start kind of leaning into the sense of, I belong, I'm worthy, all of a sudden we start recognizing, yeah, I do. I'm human. And there's a lot of healing that goes into just that piece. This sense of belonging is a basic human need, but it's also really, really linked to this sense of ease, peace, communion, harmony, inspiration. And so again, we're really leaning into basic human needs, and ease is a basic human need. How does diet culture impact that basic human need? This is the one that landed with me. When I learned it, it really resonated with me as a human. I had really not recognized the need for ease. I think in our go, go, go economy, that's pretty common. Um, so what is our need? Like what is it about ease that diet culture may or may not provide us? So a lot of times diet culture is always about striving. So you're on this treadmill that never ends. If I achieve something, it's not enough. I need to keep achieving. If I achieve this, then I need to keep achieving. And so there's this idea that no matter what I do, it's never enough and I need to do more. And you can just let that land. When I say that, my whole internal system right now is like, it's like tight because we believe that this treadmill is going to get us someplace and it doesn't. It just makes us try harder. And so we can just feel this endless striving, which is, again, it's a false view. You do belong, you do have needs, you are human. And we absorb this idea that when we go through the drive-through or when we reach for a bar or when we reheat something or when we open a can, we're not trying hard enough. We're being lazy. We're we're not doing it right. And I I want to push back on that because people are human. They're not things. Life does not go the way we want. It often goes sideways, and that's a human experience. And when you turn around and say, I just need ease in my life, that's you reaching to get your needs met, your basic human needs met. And that's actually going to bring you that those lovely feelings that we had, that, sense of joy and excitement and um, grateful and peaceful and hopeful and inspired. So when we reach for things like, quick foods or foods that may be easy to eat, you're reaching for ease and there's no bad there. Diet culture doesn't let us believe that though. Diet culture says, no, you're not, you're, no, that's not right. You can't really, you shouldn't have done it that way. So we've done two things. We talked about what is it like when your needs are met, We've also talked about basic human needs. We've really kind of highlighted the fact that diet culture makes us think we're machines. Diet culture is often brushing or painting our nutritional needs with a very broad brushstroke, which is inaccurate. We do have individual needs, and they're not the same as Bob. And now we're really talking about this sense of getting our needs met, and that ease is a basic human need. It should be a T-shirt, right? Like a bumper sticker. I don't know. There's some marketing there that I think I could do. So, what are the signs that your needs maybe aren't being met? So, this is a longer list, but afraid, angry, annoyed, disconnected, embarrassed, confused, animosity, dislike, hate, horrified, repulsed, agitated, um, alarmed, disturbed, perturbed, fatigue, pain, agony, things like sadness, tension, vulnerability, and this yearning, so this like, oh, I jealous, I'm craving, I'm pining, nostalgia. These are all kind of signs that maybe your needs aren't being met. And when we think about it that way, we're like, gosh, diet culture really does amplify that, doesn't it? And diet culture does a lot more. We'll get there in just a second, but let that land. I'm not saying that your life is falling apart. No one's life is falling apart. There are rough patches in life. That's what happens. When we have signs that our needs are not being met in your life, a lot of times we are protecting something. Now, if you've worked with me individually, you'll know I talk a lot about Stephen. Stephen is the gentleman I've been getting supervision from for about 15 years. And Stephen always shares these three truths. And these are the things that we're trying to protect. And they're beliefs that we don't matter, that we're not lovable, or that the world or people can't be trusted. And a lot of times that's actually the deep hurt that we're trying to heal. Most of the time, all of us are trying to heal those hurts. I'm trying to heal them. You're trying to heal them. And when our needs aren't being met, they land and they're challenging those beliefs. They're really turning around saying like, you know, I'm angry because I keep thinking I'm a thing. I'm angry because I keep treating myself like an object. I'm not seeing myself in my humanness, that I belong, that I'm lovable, and that I can trust myself. And so that tension is there. That tension is really strong there. So when our needs aren't being met, we tend to have very strong and negative feelings, and can really see right here that if I'm suffering, if I'm, baffled or troubled or frustrated or angry, I want to soothe myself. And this is where food is soothing. And it's soothing in the moment. And then that moment leaves, and then it's not soothing anymore. So we're recognizing at a very deep level right now that humans are hurt and that they need to be healed. And that when we're reaching for things that aren't actually getting to the underlying issue, we're never going to heal. And those underlying issues are really quite deep, and they're deep for everybody. And they're deep issues. I'm not a therapist, so these are things that I point to and I say how diet culture is identifying and saying that I can fix these deep wounds. Can you hear the language? I can fix these deep wounds. Diet culture can't fix our deep wounds. Losing weight over and over again doesn't fix the part that's hurt. It actually just makes us kind of crustier. Like it just hurts us more. It's more of that masking. It's more doing and not being. And so as we start looking at the deeper issue, we're starting to see that diet culture magnifies many false views in the world. And these false views, again, they're so prevalent. They're everywhere. We absorb them. And when we start healing ourselves, we're starting to look and say, is that really what I believe? Are those really my values? And I do this a lot about aligning ourselves with our values. So if I value my own peace of mind, if I value my own joy, then I want to start saying to myself, hey, wait a second, that's actually not helping me be joyful. That's not actually helping me feel happy. So we're starting to look at the things that are getting in the way of us getting our needs met. We're looking at the things to say, I was really looking forward to that and it was kind of meh. I was really amazed to learn about how my body worked. So one is I tried something and it didn't work. Amen. We're all allowed. Or I tried something and it really sparked my curiosity. So hopefully as we're talking and as I'm talking, explaining, we can see that this is almost like signposts. This is a signpost saying, hey, your needs are probably being met. Keep going. It's a great path. This is a signpost that your needs are probably not being met. And then there are messages that are out there that we want to start noticing and saying, does this message reinforce the belief that I'm not human in any way? Does this message reinforce my greatest fears in any way? Does this message help me reach for the things that will meet my needs? Is it helping me do that? And of course, there's some muddy waters there when we talk about changing our diet, when we talk about, nourishing our body. There's a lot of muddy waters there. It is confusing. And that's where I think working with a person, like having somebody who's walked this walk is helpful. Um, and there's not a definitive. So there isn't one path to healing. There's many. There isn't one way to see the world. There's many ways to see the world. So we're kind of pausing and recognizing yeah, there's a lot of options here. You don't have to pick a single one. Might try many. As I'm talking, I'm hoping that you notice that I'm reading something. And I will add this so everyone can get the link, but it's the nonviolent communication lists of feelings and needs. And nonviolent communication, if you're not familiar with it, it's called NVC. It was started by Dr. Marshall Rosenberg. It is kind of like a very foundational approach to negotiation. And that's in fact what we're doing. We are negotiating with ourselves around food and eating, and we're trying to negotiate out a peace treaty, and that's why NVC is so helpful for me. Like as a dietitian, I really love it. I took a lot of training in it many years ago. So I will let you know and just attach that handout. You can watch Marshall on YouTube. You can read his books. There's communities. NVC is very, very popular. It feels like, and I left it for the end because I don't want you to have to feel like, "Oh, for me to heal, I have to do this other thing." You don't. You don't have to learn MVC, but if you want to, it's there, and the way NVC is set up is it's a way to talk to ourselves. It's a way to understand our direct experience with compassion. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care, everyone, and happy holidays. Bye.